again this year. He says there's one big difference between last year's Super Bowl team and this year's defense.
I think right now the Eagles on the back end are really struggling a little bit as far as holding coverage for more than 3 or 4 seconds because maybe the pressure is not getting there. That combination last year, pressure to coverage was as good as I've seen in the National Football League in years. This year, they're being able to pick up the pressure.
Hi, everyone. We'll be getting started. Those on mute.
Consistent enough and being able to hold that coverage.
And he's got to get more pressure. How about the Sixers? They're going to face the Pistons tonight in Detroit. The Pistons not an easy schedule right now. Joel Embiid scored 30 or more points in 8 straight games. And the Sixers team
What I continue to say is that they're really interested in what we're trying to do to get better. That they're very interested in saying, you know, how much each other and have a good time and do some of it with a smile on the face. And that's great. That is a super fun team to go.
we will have Sixers highlights at 11 for you. I'm John Clark. Back over to you.
What should those look like?
Yeah. We don't want low light, though. But watch the first couple quarters. You'll look, it's not going to play 4 quarters, right? They're off the field.
Looking for something new? Watch all kinds of TV is already here on Cozy TV. How do you do?
It's not a lot. Okay.
Is my thing. Running is awesome, but her
2024 Hershey Heart Season Pass. That's unlimited visits to ride all your favorites and unbeatable perks like free parking. You'll make unforgettable memories all year long. Is there holiday shopping? Done. The Board of Commissioners has the official celebrating the ceremonial groundbreaking and obliging great parks. The new $2.3 billion park is funded Montgomery County SPCA rules revealed animals covered in a dairy culture often disappointing, especially holiday meals or cooks like that time, giving them special holidays and a shelter. It's a tradition that spans more than 60 years, so a lot there is still true.
Like, you have holidays like somewhere, know someone who's lighting up the neighborhood. Submit your video or pictures by scanning the QR code on your screen.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Central High School General Meeting. I am Rita Robinson, and I'm the HSA Vice President, and I am stepping in for Leslie Metley, who is feeling ill tonight. So we ask everyone to give her some well thoughts and wishes that she has a speedy recovery. So we're going to actually go ahead and get started, and we're going to open with President Davis, and she is going to give us our school update. Just 1 second, we'll begin sharing our slide for everyone. So just give me one moment, please.
Of course. Thank you, Rita. Good evening, everybody. Rita, I can also share my screen if that's any easier.
It would be. Let me see if I can make sure you have privileges. We're also going to go ahead and ask everyone if you can make sure that you are muted throughout the presentation so that everyone is able to hear the presenters as they speak. Thank you so much.
And I have it ready. I just can't share right now.
If you enable participant screen sharing, or that might be, I guess that might be the issue, right?
Yeah, just a second. I'm actually going to.
I can also share without slides if that's easier.
Oh, that's my teacher. Katie, come here, Cole.
Please mute yourselves. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay. Good evening again, everybody. It's wonderful to be with you on this December night. For those who I haven't met before, I am Kate Davis, president of our wonderful, wonderful school. It's my pleasure to give you the last updates for 2023 until we get into the new year. Next slide, please. I think you can click one more time. So each month, if you haven't been on a home and school meeting before, I like to just provide an update that relates to some of our school-wide goals. These are goals that are monitored by the School District of Philadelphia's school board. And one of them that we spend a lot of time talking about at Central is our students' attendance. These bars on the left-hand side show you student attendance disaggregated by grade level. I know it is small, but 9th grade is all the way at the bottom, the longest bar, and this is just for the month of November. Typically, this is the pattern that we see at Central, where our freshmen have the strongest attendance in the building, and we always have the lowest with our 12th graders. Of course, there are a variety of reasons why families choose to not send their kid to school every day, or if a child needs to stay home. We absolutely, if you are sick for any reason, want you to be healing yourself at home. Do not feel, parents, that you need to send your child in ill if they have a test or a quiz, something like that. We will always work with you. But it is really important for us on the school level that absences are coded as excused rather than unexcused. That's information that is monitored by the school district as well as the Pennsylvania Department of Education. In a school as large as ours, sometimes folks have questions about where do they send this information. Excuse me. But please know that we collect absence notes within 1 week of when a child returns to school, and you can send them in to your student's homeroom teacher. You do not need to call our main office to give a reason for your excuse. The teachers are the ones who code it each morning during advisory. If your child has an appointment and they're coming in late, they can drop that in the main office, or they can hold it for the next day to give it to their advisor. Thank you in advance for just doing your best to send in absence notes. We know that it can be a lot to stay on top of. If you are a parent who's not yet connected to the parent portal, or you're not sure what the parent portal is, just send me a private message. We can make sure that you get connected. That's the way that you can check your child's attendance record, as well as their in-progress grades. Next slide, please. On the topic of grades, this shows a grade distribution across all grades for the first marking period of this school year. This Friday marks the middle of the second marking period, or what we in the school district call interim reporting. This is a really important time for you as parents and for students to log on to check current progress in all courses. This shows you the grades that students earned across all the different departments at Central High School. The dark blue is an A grade, 90 to 100. Medium blue would be a B. The gray is a C. An orange is a D. And anything in red is a failing grade below a 59 or lower. There are lots of things that we could say about this, but this is just high level grade distribution. Typically at Central, as the year goes on, across different grades, we see different patterns, especially when it comes to different departments. We do know historically that our students have struggled in the area of mathematics the most. That is a consistent trend that's been in place for a number of years. If you have any questions about this, definitely make sure that you are logged onto the parent portal so you can see how your child's doing halfway through the second marking period. Next slide, please. This is a reminder that we have a community service requirement at Central High School. There is a hyperlink to the guidelines for community service. They have not changed since they were shared in August 2023. This year, we are trying something new and attempting to incentivize students to tackle their community service requirement a little bit earlier. And I would say, just informally, it's been going pretty well so far. The first informal deadline for community service is the day that students return from winter break, January 3rd. If your child is 9th or 10th grade, there is a 15-hour requirement at this earlier deadline. And if they choose to use the entire year to get their community service done, which is completely okay, the requirement is 20 hours total. For 11th and 12th graders, the reduced requirement by January 3rd is 25. And if they choose to use the whole year to do it, it bumps up to 30. Community service is a credited course on every child's transcript, and all of the community service requirements and the hours, the reflections, that information is all collected by class sponsors. If you have any questions about your child's community service, don't worry, there is plenty of time for them to get it done. They did not run out of time yet, but we want to make sure that students are equipped with that knowledge sooner rather than later. Next slide, please. All right, time for everybody's favorite update on winter athletics, or how we're doing in sports. I changed it up a little bit this time around. I didn't give you the record, and that's only because we're week 2, maybe week 3 into our winter athletics season. There are some snapshots of some of the schools' different social media pages that are run by the team managers, and I actually put each of the teams' Instagram pages, their handles right there. If you're somebody who's active on social media and you want to check out their stories and their posts, there's some pretty cool stuff. It's all led by students that you can check it out. We had a really exciting wrestling match after school last Friday. The boys took down Northeast, which is our biggest rival. And wrestling's really fun because the wrestling matches are completely free for students to attend. And the wrestling gym was standing room only. It was a really wonderful show of school spirit. It's very physical. If you've never seen a high school wrestling match, I invite you to come. I had to look away for some of it, but I was really impressed by our young people. And our boys and our girls basketball team is always a good time for people who want to come out and watch some high school sports. Our boys had their first win yesterday over Alney High School. And again, those are all of their Instagram pages, which is a really great way to stay connected to athletics at Central. Next slide. All right, and so this just shows 3 pictures of things going on across this week, moving into next week as we close down the 2023 calendar year. This Friday, December 15th, is a half day for students. We are holding what we call our SEL day, or Social Emotional Learning Day. This is the second SEL day of the school year. This is a time where kids are going to all of their classes, but teachers are not teaching new content. Teachers do a variety of different things. Sometimes we have school-wide events, and teachers actually take students out of classrooms and go to events throughout the building. And this is an event all the way on the left-hand side, Central Thon, which is going to be having different events throughout the year. The first one is happening this Friday during SEL Day. This is an optional thing that kids can participate in if they want to buy a wristband. It is a fundraiser. All of the money is donated, but it's a really fun, there's music, there's games, there's different clubs represented. Students typically really enjoy these days. So that's happening this Friday. And our student association is running a Winter Spirit Week kicking off next week. They only just started advertising this, so students are not as familiar, but we're going to make sure to really push it as we get closer to next week. And then last but not least, all families are invited to join us for our winter concert series, which takes place next Wednesday and Thursday evening after school. The start time is a little earlier this year. We're starting at 6 p.m. rather than 7, and that's because it is a jam-packed agenda and schedule for our concerts. If you've never been to a Central concert, they are truly, truly spectacular. It is pay as you wish, and everyone is invited. So I think that might be my last slide. Click once more. Yeah, so it is my pleasure, of course, to answer any questions. I will be logged on to the meeting for the duration of this evening. You can either send me a message publicly or privately. And I am joined tonight by a number of our faculty members, but most notably Ms. Snyder, one of the assistant principals on my team. So thank you, everybody. I'm glad to be here with you tonight.
We do have a hand.
Sure.
Priya?
Hi, Priya.
Hi. Hi, Esther. Hi, President Davis, and hi, parents. Very nice to be here, and it feels like it's the end of a year, and I'm amazed how so many people showed up. President Davis, I really appreciated you sharing all this information about the academics of the school, but I was wondering if you could just speak a little bit about how the parent-teacher conferences were managed the first marking period, and if we could have a discussion about how they're going to be managed moving forward for the rest of the school year.
Sure. So the school district adjusted the framework for conferences this year. It was the first time that for the first marking period, we had a full day of conferences. In my 6 years of being a principal, I can't remember us ever having a full day. So that was the day after Thanksgiving. And the conferences ran we had an hour and a half or so where they stopped for lunch in the middle of the day, but they ran in the morning up until 3 o'clock. So we did not have a PM conference this first time around, but we will have 1 PM conference before the year is over. Contractually through PFT, which is the teachers union, we have 2 evening events per year with teachers. One is our back to school night that we host each September, and the second is always a report card conference. Because we had a full day, we didn't opt for the evening conferences this first time through, but we will definitely have one either for term 2 or term 3.
Fabulous. May I ask a follow-up, please?
Please do.
There was some confusion about the actual modality. So would there be a sign up? Would there not? Initially, we were told parents had to just sort of show up and line up outside teachers' classrooms. And I should say, I think our central teachers are rock stars. I would do anything for them, but I just don't think I want to be in a rock concert mentality, which is lining up outside their rooms, because I do have a full-time job, as many, many do. Is there some way we could please clarify and have A, signups, and B, for all the working parents out there, some kind of Zoom event, because that's how we can really engage our teachers. I find it helpful as an educator myself, because during the Zoom event, a teacher can pop up my students' work and say, hey, notice that they're doing this, and this is where I'd like them to be. Zoom works both as an inclusiveness thing and as an effective modality. Could we return to that as we have in the last several years?
Sure. So we will plan to move forward with Sign Up Genius for conferences, excuse me, for the remainder of the year. In terms of a hybrid model, we're not going to move. We need to do either in person or virtual. It is a large burden on teachers to have to pivot between being on the computer and also having people in the classrooms or coming to the door. And so for this first round, we opted just for in person, but I do understand the benefit, especially for working families who need the flexibility. So we haven't made a decision yet, but it can't be, we're not going to have it be both. It would need to be one or the other.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. And I will just speak for many parents on the family listserv who commented that Zoom has worked because it really lowers barriers and is super, super inclusive. And I know that engaged parents make engaged students and support teachers. So if you would please consider all Zoom with Sign Up, here's a plea to you coming from many parents. I'm just the spokesperson, and I really appreciate your listening. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, Kate, just I thank you, Priya, for making that observation, right, in terms of in-person and Zoom. And I'm just curious, because I think that there is benefit to both, right, to both in-person and Zoom, but understanding also the challenges that teachers have pivoting from one medium to modality to another. Is in future report card conferences, are they more than one day? They're like 2 days?
Yes, I believe our next ones are in February, and I believe it's February 1st and 2nd, if I'm correct.
So if, maybe as a split, right, just a suggestion would be one day is in-person signups and the second day is all Zoom, so that there's opportunity for those who want to meet in person, they can do so, while others who need to do Zoom, they also have that opportunity, and teachers get to not be like split personality trying to do.
Yeah, I appreciate that suggestion. It's a good idea.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for your questions. If there are no more, I didn't see anything inserted into the chat. I did see a comment from one of our parents saying that Central is very far from where many of us live, and Zoom has worked very well. I do know that we've had a lot of parent feedback, President Davis, that Zoom has been very beneficial to moving forward and having communications with teachers. And if there are no more questions, we are going to pass it over to AP Snyder, who is here tonight to talk to families about the International Baccalaureate Program and advanced placement. A lot of information, and she's always very thorough with sharing. So we're going to pass it over to her, and then we'll have some questions at the end. Welcome, AP Snyder.
Hi, everyone. I am actually only going to do a brief presentation on AP, advanced placement classes. We have a new IB coordinator this year, Nick Palazzolo, who is wonderful, and he's here and will do a great job talking about IB and all things International Baccalaureate. So that's really the bulk of this presentation, because that's more of a holistic program. It has a lot more requirements. AP is an a la carte model. A student can sign up for one AP course, not an entire program. So I'm just gonna, I'll be very brief, and then I'll pass the mic off to Nick, who is wonderful. Do I have the capability of sharing my screen? No.
Let's see.
All right. If not, it's no big deal. I can just share the link with everyone. I just made a document, but I'm sure Nick's going to have to share his screen.
I can make you the host, and
Okay.
you can make me the host. I can't make you a co-host for whatever reason.
That's fine. I can just give it right back to you afterwards, or
Okay.
reassign it to Mr. P.
There you go.
Awesome.
Yeah, we'll just
Thank
pass
you.
it around.
Okay, great. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. My computer's freezing out here. Can everyone hear me? All right, I'm going to try again. I thought I lost everyone for a second. There we go. Okay, here we go. Okay, can everyone see the spreadsheet up on my computer?
Yep.
Yes.
Great. So I'll share this link as well. And this is something that we could kind of post for parents. I think it's just a quick and easy document that kind of highlights all of our advanced placement courses at Central High School. So for those of you who don't know, AP stands for Advanced Placement. Advanced Placement courses are run through the College Board. The College Board is an association. They also are in charge of the SAT, so the standardized test that's required, or most students across the country take it, as well as the ACT. So they're a big company. Advanced placement courses are rigorous. The goal of an advanced placement course is to mimic or really prepare a student for a college level course. We have a lot of different options. As you can see here on the spreadsheet, we have 25 different advanced placement courses. That is a lot. When you look at our advanced placement offerings in concert with our international baccalaureate offerings, we have one of the largest course catalogs in the state, if not the country. We offer a lot of advanced courses at Central, which is something that really makes us quite unique and special. AP courses are great in that they provide students with a lot of flexibility. Students can choose to take one AP course along with their traditional other 5 courses in their schedule. They could take 2 or 3, as much as 4 or 5. That's not something that happens very often, just based on typically a lot of our AP students tend to specialize, meaning they really, prefer one area over others. So AP gives students the flexibility to really prioritize certain areas. It is not an a la carte, or it is an a la carte model, meaning they can pick and choose. They do not take all of their classes at that level. On the spreadsheet, which I will share, you'll see a couple columns. So the columns here I have is the course name. I have a column for each of the grades. So 10th, 11th, and 12th. I have the credit type that the class fulfills. This really has to do more with graduation. Students have to earn a specific amount of credits in order to graduate. And then the prereqs, and prereqs or prerequisites. What that means is students have to take specific courses in order to qualify for these specific classes. So in the column under prereq, I write what class is required in order to take this AP course. I will be coming back at the next home and school meeting to do a full-scale roster presentation all about subject selection. So I don't really need to go in a ton of detail on how to sign up for these courses, because that subject selection doesn't occur until February. But if I could just give an overview of the courses, you'll see here. So basically, each class is either going to fill what's called a core requirement or an elective requirement. So core requirements count for graduation, meaning if you look here on the first row, it says AP English Language. This course is exclusively for 11th graders. It is an English credit, and you need to successfully have taken and earned a B or better in English 2 or 2 honors. And then you can go down the list and you'll see this for all. So our most popular AP courses, the courses that we have the most students in, would be AP English, both English language and literature, AP US History, AP Gov. Those are our most popular. And then if you look down here, I would say our next most popular currently is actually AP Chemistry. So those are our most popular classes. Some of the classes we have as many as 10 sections, believe it or not. We have 10 sections of AP Lang right now, meaning that roughly 300 11th graders are taking AP English. That's a tremendously high number. We are one of the few schools that I've ever come across that offer that many sections of an AP course. And then we have courses where there's only one section. For instance, AP Physics C, here, if you look at row 17, where my browser is, we have one section and it's a little tiny class. Another example of a class where we have one section would be something like, let's see here, AP European History. That's a one-off elective for 10th graders. So as you notice here, 9th grade doesn't exist. That is because we do not offer AP courses to 9th graders. That is something that we do intentionally. We really believe at Central that students need to develop core strengths, like a basic set of skills and strengths before that they can branch off into these advanced AP and IB courses. In 9th grade, it's really beneficial that our kids take the same classes, right? They take the same subjects. They're all learning the same skills. We really prioritize certain books, certain math skills, et cetera. That's why we don't offer AP courses in 9th grade. They start in 10th grade. And as you can see, there are not many. In 10th grade, it's a pretty low list. So you'll notice here a couple electives. So AP Human Geography, that's an elective. AP European History, AP Physics 1, and then a couple other electives, AP Music and AP Seminar. And then as you go up, you'll notice you get more and more yeses, meaning more once you're a senior, you can pretty much take everything. Okay? So that's the way AP courses work. AP courses are going to vary from course to course. They're all going to be rigorous. They're all going to require a tremendous amount of work, effort, prioritization. If a student is in an AP course, they are going to be working harder in their AP course than they are in a standard level course. That's something that they have to know before signing up. We at Central believe that everyone is capable of taking an AP or IB course, but we do think it's very important that students really ask their teachers for their advice. Do you think I'd be a good fit, right? If a kid is wavering back and forth, they're nervous, our teachers are our best resources. I also meet with students all the time. I am happy to sit down with a student, look at their transcript, talk to them about their strengths, their weaknesses, and kind of guide them in making this decision. That's something I really enjoy doing. I do it every day. I always like to say that less is more. So many of our kids put so much pressure on themselves. I want to take every single advanced and every single AP and IB course that Central offers. I really like to slow students down and just try to check in and really prioritize social and emotional learning when picking rosters. But we do have a ton of great offerings. And believe it or not, we have over 1,000 students taking an AP course this year at Central High School. Last year, I believe we offered 1,700 AP exams. That's a very, very big number. Any questions about AP courses I could answer now?
Thank you, AP Snyder. I had a question. Do you guys look at the testing data for the AP test just to see how our students overall are doing when making decisions as to how many sections and all of that?
Yes, so we definitely do. We spend a lot of time pouring through the data. So College Board provides a lot of very useful resources. So they'll aggregate the data. They'll look at our school averages per class, per teacher. It'll show it in comparison to the state, in comparison to the country. So we have a tremendous amount of data provided to us every year. And that's President Davis and actually Mr. P can both vouch. I'm like a data nerd and a data junkie, and I love it. So I spend a lot of time looking at this stuff. We definitely do use it. What we tend to do. So in terms of AP scores or AP courses and the exams are graded from 1 to 5. 3 or higher is considered passing. So we like to really look at our pass rate. I believe last year we were in the high 70th percentile for passing. So that does exceed the national average in terms of AP scores, which is great. We have also identified some areas of weakness. There are courses that we struggle more than others. Our scores in our AP Englishes are very, very high. Our scores in our AP World Languages are very high, and our sciences as well. As President Davis mentioned, math, traditionally, we have the highest amount of failures, and it kind of mirrors that with AP data as well. We have some sections that do very well, others that are lagging behind a little bit, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that AP exams are challenging, and a lot of our students, you know, this might be the first really rigorous math class that they're taking, right? Some of our students will go from regular pre-calculus into AP BC Calc. We still think if a student wants to do it and they're willing to work and they enjoy it, that's great. You know, we don't make decisions based on how students do on the exams. We obviously want our kids to do well. We support them, but that's not the only thing that matters to us at Central. But yeah, we look at the data a lot. You know, and we're always kind of going back and forth between what is the best approach. So years ago, it used to be that every single AP course, and IB as well, you had to test into. Like, if you want to take this course, you're going to come after school and you're going to take a test. And based on your score, we as the department are going to dictate whether or not you get to take this AP course. In 2020, I believe, maybe it was 2021, we got rid of that practice. So we removed all testing into AP and IB courses. The reason why we did that is we believe that barriers, so putting up gates or barriers, you know, in front of a student would limit the amount of students who actually want to push themselves and take those classes. You know, if our goal and our mission at Central High School is to make sure that we are equitable in everything, that also includes the students who take all of our classes. So we believe that by removing some of the barriers that we would increase the number of students of color and other students who had never taken these courses to kind of take some of our AP and IB courses. We have seen an increase since we removed those barriers. More kids are pushing themselves and more kids are willing to take on that challenge, which is great. With that said, you know, we also have seen more kids struggle and want to drop these same courses because, you know, they were allowed to take this course without taking a test. So there's always benefits, there's downsides, and there's positives. You know, we're always looking at that, always kind of weighing the good and the bad and having discussions with our leadership team. That's actually a theme of our next leadership meeting that we'll have, that President Davis will lead. So yeah, that was a long-winded answer.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. We talk a lot about our procedures for enrolling students in advanced courses. It's absolutely a goal of ours in a really intentional way to make sure that students who want to access these courses have access to them. That said, not every course is for every student, and that's okay too. We at Central do have a vastly different approach to advanced coursework admissions than some of our other high schools in Philadelphia and surrounding counties. We're pretty proud of our approach. It works for us, but we also think about ways to tweak it each year. I will say that College Board has released some research, independent research, just around the benefits of AP courses. And one thing that I found to be really interesting, and I'm more than happy to share this with the Home and School listserv, is that there isn't a lot of research that shows that taking more than 5 AP courses throughout your high school career puts you in any sort of advantageous position for college. Sometimes we find students who think that they have to jam pack their roster with the courses that always have AP, IB, and you know, we can see some students who really get tripped up in that. So I like to just let parents know that that is not necessarily the recipe to be successful in high school. And if you have any questions about that, definitely reach out to our counseling team, reach out to our roster team. We're here to sort of explain anything behind the scenes that can help your child make the best decisions for them. Is that fair to say, Ms. Snyder?
Absolutely. Any other questions for me before I pass off the mic? Okay, wonderful. Mr. P, I think I was able to figure out how to allow multiple people to share their screens if you want to try.
Sounds good. Yes, it's working.
Awesome.
All right. All righty. All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Nick. Mr. Palazzolo is how, or Mr. P is how a lot of students know me. and it's really good to be here. I think this is the first time I am at one of these HSA meetings. Right now, I'm not looking at the chat because I have my screen presenting, but if anyone has questions throughout, feel free to like put them in the chat and I'll get to them at the end, or Ms. Robinson or Ms. Snyder, feel free to jump in if there's something that you need to, someone's dropping something in the chat. I think I recognized a lot of you here. I've taught some of your kids and or currently am or have in the past. So it's great to see some familiar names and faces. All right, so I'm new to this role in the IB coordinator position this year, and been getting a lot of support from Ms. Snyder. And so I just want to kind of give you an overview of the program. And so, like I said, I'm Nick, and I guess just to give you a little bit of my background here at Central, this is my 6th year at Central, 7th if you count student teaching. I did my student teaching at Central 7 years ago, and this is my 6th year, not just at Central, but also teaching IB. I've taught the IB history class to the seniors since I've started. So these are just some questions I'm going to help us answer. I want us to look at like what an IB education is, what the diploma program is at Central, what classes students take, and how your student might know if IB is right for them, and then just give you insight into the application process.
Is this for which student should apply?
Hi, folks. I think there's some folks unmuting. Do you have a question? Okay, if folks could just stay muted if you don't have questions, feel free to come off mute if you have a question, but all right. So I'm going to start with just some words from our IB alumni. So before I do that, one thing that, Ms. Snyder mentioned was that AP is like a la carte, right? So students can pick and choose whichever AP classes they would like and can focus in on different areas. IB somewhat has that option, but I'm mostly going to be talking about the IB diploma program, which is a cohort-based model. So students apply when they are sophomores. I'm currently recruiting students. So if you have a 285 student, if you have a sophomore, they might be interested. And so the diploma program is cohort based. So there are 60 students who join as juniors, apply as sophomores, join as juniors, and remain in the program through their senior year. There is an option for many of our IB electives for students to take those a la carte, since we don't fill those with our diploma students. But I'm going to mostly be talking about the diploma program. So some of our IB diploma alumni, here are just a few things they've said about the program, just to give you a sense of what students really value about being in this IB cohort for their second half of their Central career. Students talk a lot about building community. One of the benefits of the IB cohort model is it creates a small learning environment for students. And some students really thrive in a smaller learning community. So I kind of liken it to kind of being at like a small liberal arts college, like within a bigger university. So at Central, you have the benefits of the small kind of learning community if students join IB, but then they also have access to the wider world of Central and all the clubs and sports and everything else that we have to offer. It is a challenging and rigorous program. It's a writing intensive program, and students really grow as writers and critical thinkers in this program. Some students here mentioned more about the smaller community. That's really a theme. When I did this survey over the summer with all of our alumni, over half of them talked about really valuing the smaller community. Some students do earn college credit. That's never a guarantee. It depends on the university and the departments at the university, just like for AP. One thing that I really love about this student wrote, I really love the IA process. I'll talk more about that. That's basically project-based aspect to the IB program. For literally all of my classes, she wrote, like, even though I'm not a STEM girly, I really enjoy doing my ESS and math IAs, ESS environmental science. One thing that I've noticed among students in the IB program with this quote and this last one here with the student in that last line writing about how they feel more confident in developing their own opinions about subjects they're not strong in is you know, IB invites you to kind of be a generalist, right? You're taking IB courses in all of your subject areas. So your math, your science, your English, your history, your world language. And, you know, some students come in feeling stronger about some of those than others. But our students develop in all of those and often find that they're able to apply their own interests, even in subject areas they thought they didn't love. Because of the project-based model of IB, students can really bring their own questions into every subject they're studying. So I'll just leave that, you know, I'll share this later and you all can, you know, browse this at your own time. There are a few more quotes in there. So now I'm just going to talk more about the nuts and bolts of the IB program. So like I said, it's a 2-year program that takes place during the 11th and 12th grade years. And there's something called an IB diploma that I'll talk about in a bit. The program's been around since 1968. It really grew as a program, not just to prepare students for college, although it does that really well. It grew about applying knowledge to, you know, the real world, right? So as you can see here, the mission is to develop inquiring, knowledgeable, and caring young people who help to create a better and more peaceful world through intercultural understanding and respect. So it's about, you know, taking the questions we have about the world, you know, and making them real, you know, deepening our knowledge and applying that in the world around us. So it's, you know, applicable in that sense. The program's in over 150 countries. There's over 160,000 diploma students each year. About half of them are in the United States alone. So we do have a lot of, you know, IB programs in the US. Central's unique in offering such a wide array of IB course options in particular. This is a little infographic you can look at your own time. I'm just going to go through some aspects of this. This is kind of IB's effort to try and contain everything essential about the program. So I'm going to take it one at a time. So the center of that is the IB learner profile. This is a set of 10 criteria, as you can see here, right? We want our students and we support our students to cultivate these 10 characteristics or capacities. You know, we want them to be curious inquirers, to develop, you know, conceptual understanding, to think critically and creatively, right? All of these aspects. For any of you who have students who are sophomores, they're going to get really familiar with this during the application process, since they will be writing a personal statement reflecting on 2 of these characteristics. This slide is for you to take a look at on your own time. I just want to emphasize that IB has a, has coalesced around a particular approach to teaching and learning. What I want to emphasize, and, you know, like I said, you can read this on your own time. What I want to emphasize is the student-led aspect. Yes, students will have, you know, an exam at the end of the year for each subject or at the end of their, you know, course of study. However, you know, they're graded not just on that exam. Throughout each subject and throughout the year, they work on a project and they ask their own question about that project that, you know, is real and important to them, and pursue you know, a discipline appropriate approach to answering that question. So, you know, in math, they actually write a paper in math and they apply, most of the paper is charts and graphics, charting out their, you know, whether it's their data or, you know, their, you know, showing how they, you know, approach the problem, but they actually apply a mathematical concept to a real life example. You know, in psychology, they do a psych study. You know, in biology, they design and conduct their own lab. They write a history paper, do literary analysis. They do what a scholar in that field would do. And that contributes to their score as well. So we really try to, you know, the IB really respects students, not just in terms of what they can do at the end of the course, but, you know, their journey throughout. There are 3 core aspects that all of our diploma students do. It's this thing called CAS, Creativity Activity Service, this thing called the EE, extended essay, and this thing called TOK, theory of knowledge. This is all the IB jargon. So CAS is really IB's efforts to kind of design a holistic education beyond just the academic classroom. Really engage people in their, in reflecting on how they live their lives beyond the classroom. So this actually replaces the community service requirements. Part of it is service, part of it is physical activity, and part of it is creativity, theater, art, etc. Oftentimes students find that they're already doing a lot of this, and this just provides them an opportunity to reflect on what they're already involved in. The extended essay is the very scholarly piece of the program. Students choose a subject area of interest to them, design their own inquiry, research it, and write a 4,000 word research paper. And this is really like an undergrad thesis, but at the high school, appropriate level. They get guidance from a faculty supervisor and a lot of support from our senior theory of knowledge teacher, Miss Brooks. And so this is really kind of modeling and for them and taking them through a process that is essential for college. Oh, one thing I wanted to add about this is students will sometimes choose a subject area that we don't offer a course in. We have students this year writing film essays. We have a student doing a dance extended essay, and we don't yet offer an IB dance course, but these are possibilities for students in the IB program. And then, of course, we have the theory of knowledge class, which is about supporting students to think about, critically about how they know things, the process of knowing, the ethics of knowledge as well. So it's kind of the core course that helps connect to all the other discipline areas. So the IB diploma, it's really just a cool thing that students get when they achieve, to show their achievement in the IB. Some students I've noticed came confused and thought it had something to do with their central diploma. Has nothing to do with the central diploma. They actually don't even learn if they get the IB diploma until after they graduate central. There are two things I want to say about this because some students and some of your students, might be relevant for. We always have a few students who decide to apply internationally, and they will sometimes find that the schools they're interested in internationally require a certain score overall or require the IB diploma in some way. And so that's something that students can talk with their college, their counselor about, with me about, and do some research on their own as well. Students applying in the US, this isn't really a factor in college acceptance, but it is an opportunity to potentially earn college credit or skip out of those intro classes, depending on what the university has decided, right? Or the departments have decided. So I'm just going to go over, and I'm not going to kind of go too in the weeds here, but I want to give you a sense of how students build out a course of study for 2 years in the IB. So there are 6 groups, as you can see here: your literature, your world language, your what we would call social studies, math, sciences, and the arts, right? So students have to take one of the top 5 groups. They don't have to take an arts class, but then they have to take a 6th class that fits, in any of the 6. Okay. I'm not going to go into the weeds on higher levels and standard levels, but you're welcome to ask if you want to know more about, what classes count as 2 years versus just taking 1 year. But essentially, we offer a wide variety of options. So you can see that, students all take the English course, they all take the history course, but we offer a lot of electives that students can take: psychology, philosophy, global politics, astronomy is fairly new, anthropology is fairly new. Global politics is also, young. Those are some newer courses over the last couple of years that we've started offering. Music as well is now its own class. So as you can see here, there's a lot of options for students. And what's nice about some of these options is students can really tailor it to you know, some of their strengths, right? So for example, they have to take at least 1 year of math in the IB, but they can decide at what level to take that math, right? Do they want to, you know, take 2 years of math? Do they want to do 1 year, you know, and focus more on calc, or do they want to do 1 year and focus a little bit more on statistics? Although the IB math programs cover, you know, a range of math topics, including algebra, trigonometry, stats, and calc. And then we also have the option for students to do the IB diploma program while remaining in the AP calculus program as well. So this is really kind of more in the weeds and is really relevant. You know, I go through this with students a little more closely, especially once they've been accepted into the program. But essentially, IB students at Central who are diploma students, right, all have lunch, all have history, all have English, and all have theory of knowledge. And then they all have to take 2 years of language. They can decide if they take that, you know, at what level they take that, but they will all have 2 years of language. In very rare cases, we have students who are already advanced enough in language to finish at the end of junior year. And then there's, as you can see, in the bottom 2 rows for the 11th and 12th grade year, there's a lot of space for electives. And that's where students can really play around and fill in those spaces with some of the electives that you saw on the previous screen here. So to kind of wrap up, you know, how might your student know if IB is right for them? I sort of think of it in terms of these questions. The students who thrive and love IB, really, you know, want to think critically. They want to, you know, they love learning and they want to think critically about their learning. They love finding connections between their subjects. They want to learn in smaller class sizes. There are some students who wanted to do IB despite that and either learned to love it or found, you know, lots of other things to love about the program. So, you know, that's always kind of depends on students' preferences. There is a smaller community of 60 students who you get to know really well over your 2 years. Students who want to design and pursue their own research questions and get, you know, teacher support for that. And students who really want to get ready for the kinds of reading and writing and research and problem solving they're going to be doing in college. And then they apply by January 29th in their sophomore year this year. That's the deadline this year. The 285 application is already live, and I've already met with over 90 students who are interested, and I'm meeting with more tomorrow. And the criteria is that we're looking that students have, you know, an 80 or better in their academic subject areas, and they complete a personal statement according to the instructions on the form. And then they do that personal statement, which I won't bore you with. Students, you know, have access to this, but essentially they reflect on the strengths of them from that learner profile that they feel like they've, you know, exhibited, and an area they like to grow in. So it's a chance for them to really reflect on themselves as not just a learner, but, you know, whatever characteristic they choose, you know, and it doesn't have to be in the classroom. And so this is a chance for them to really reflect and demonstrate some of that reflectivity. So with that, are there any questions? I'm going to open up the chat again, but feel free to come off mute as well.
I have a question. Is the IB program is for 9th grader too?
So students who are sophomores can apply. 9th graders are not able to take IB courses, and neither would a 9th grader apply yet. Now, if a 9th grader is interested, they can certainly come chat with me, and I can certainly guide them in terms of what courses they might want to take sophomore year to get themselves ready for IB. So that's a conversation I'm happy to have with any 9th graders.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. P, you do have a question in the chat. When you are in the IB program, do you take any non-IB courses?
The answer is it depends. There are a few situations in which students can take non-IB courses. You know, if a student is taking language at a higher level, it means that they've satisfied their higher level requirements, which is you have to take 3 higher level courses and then 3 courses at the standard level. it means they've satisfied that in fewer periods out of the day, right? Because we have 7 class periods in a day. 1 is lunch. And so if that's the case, then they have this open period senior year where they can fill it with study hall or a non-IB elective. So there are a few situations. We have a few students who finish language at the end of their junior year because they're already in the 3rd year of language learning by their sophomore year. So they finish early. And then they have an open slot. But there are a lot of students who don't have that open slot and take all their classes in IB, right? So there's a few unique situations. And some students choose the AP Calculus program instead of the, and then they do the IB math project on their own. So there are a few pathways for a few non-IB options.
The next question.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, I can see the chat now, but feel free to read it if you prefer.
Go ahead, Mr. P. You go right ahead.
All right. So could you take more about the talk more about the possibility of taking IB courses as electives? Yes. So if a student is not interested in the diploma program but just wants to take IB psychology or IB astronomy, anthropology, right? Those are options for students, and they sign up just like they would for an AP class, right? We don't have any tests. There's no barriers to entry, right? Those are there's a lot of seats open in those classes, in those electives. There are a few IB classes that no one can take unless they're in the diploma program, like history, IB English, some of the IB maths, but there are a lot of options and opportunities to take many of our IB electives without being a diploma student.
Mr. P, would you please let parents know when would their students understand if they were accepted into the program, because that would impact the rest of their course selection or what classes that they select, if they are or if they are not?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So applications due January 29th. I'll have made decisions by February 5th and communicate with the sophomore, the 9285 class on February 5th. So should be roughly, I don't know if we have the exact date set for course selection this year, but it usually starts the 2nd week of February. So I have it calendared out so that it's like a week before that. So students will know if they're in the IB diploma program, if they've been offered an acceptance before that. Yeah, so February 5th. Mm-hmm. Are there any other questions? We get a roughly 120 applications each year, and we're funded by the district for 60 slots. Mm-hmm. So if I see that there are some 285 parents on here, if your student is interested and has already attended an interest meeting, they're in good shape. They're probably on the Google Classroom. I have a 285 applicants classroom page, and that's where the application is. That's where these the slides. There's a student-facing set of slides that I've shared with them so that they have all the information. That's where they'll submit their personal statement. But I'm also doing a makeup meeting tomorrow. And so if any of your students are interested but didn't make it to one of the 4 meetings I previously held for info sessions, they should join me in room 209 tomorrow. I also just shared the slides in the chat, so if anyone wants to hold on to those, or if anybody wants to post them on any family space, you're welcome to. I think I have them set so that they're anybody can view them.
Well, thank you so much, AP Snyder. Thank you so much, Mr. P, for your presentation tonight to our parents. Again, if parents have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to them directly via email to ask them any questions, and also make available to your students the additional interest meeting that is tomorrow. Mr. P, what time?
Yes, 8 a.m. Room room 209. So if your child already went to a meeting, it's going to be the same thing. It's just for makeups for anybody who didn't make it but is interested.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Esther. And so we are now going to move into our treasurer's report. Nina, we're handing off to you.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well on this Wednesday. Just wanted to do a quick update where we are with the books. During the month of November, we had a pretty quiet month. I think Robin, Dominic, our fundraising chair, will talk a little bit more about that. We had some individual donations come in. This does not reflect Giving Tuesday, but there's about half that amount. And then we had, of course, our holiday spiritware sales, which again, not the full amounts reflected here because it didn't hit the books in November. Anyways, but we were very active though in doing things in and around the school. We made, I think as many of you got your orders, a huge spiritware order. So we're all stocked up with all the goodies. If you haven't ordered and you're interested, we probably won't make any more deliveries before the holidays, but come, when it's cold and you want some hoodies, we got lots of them. So you can go ahead and order for that. Let's see here. So we did start, I think as people remember, one of the big things we are fundraising for are departmental grants of $2,000 for each of the departments. And so we have started funding those. For the English department, we bought them a whole bunch of different supplies. For its technology department, there's Mr. I right there, our technology lead amongst his new shelves and bins that he has. He was super excited because now his room is organized. So we spent our money to support that for him. The math department, I think they got a whole bunch of graphing calculators in for students to be able to use. So we're providing to them sort of the storage and charging things, and that's only part of what is that they're going to be spending. We supported the staff who had to be at the school for report cards all day on the day after Thanksgiving, so we gave them lunch, and then just our kind of usual accounting fees and costs for operating and doing what we do. That's it.
Thank you, Nina. And so we are going to hand right over to fundraising. Robin.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Not too much to discuss. Spiritware, I think it's currently being delivered throughout the school. We, as for fundraising, we've raised a lot of money in the past couple of years, and some things are now being purchased. So there's hallway furniture that is being purchased now. So that's we had a big push for that last year. So it's like some high tops and some chairs, so that our students have somewhere to sit in the hallways instead of on the ground for lunch, because a lot of kids eat in the hallways. And they're still working on the 241 furniture, and flooring is being installed Friday for the room 40, which is supposed to be a study space for the students. So super excited that, some of the projects that we've been working towards are coming into fruition. A note on the department grant, so that's what we're really kind of raising money for now. So I'll throw out another blast to get just some Caring for Central donations. The department grants are great because each one of the departments, they're able to really identify some items that help the whole department and help, a good amount of students, as you had seen that Nina had showed us. So and so our, our fundraiser, still the Caring for Central is going on. I'll send out a request for donations. The auction is still May 4th at the Discovery Center in Fairmount Park. And we're still working on figuring out a few of our goals. Hopefully we'll have that all ironed out for next month to talk to you about what our goals are outside of the department grants and the student events. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you. Next, I'm not sure if Anne Marie or Terry Ann are on. If you are, please speak up. For campus beautification, I know we are actually looking for dates for some cleanups and some renovations going on in the school. So we'll communicate to the parent group and also make you aware of any opportunities that are available for your students to participate in community service. So we'll keep you posted on any movements or progress with that for campus beautification. For Anti-Racism Network, our next meeting is January 14th at 3 p.m. And we will begin to discuss or continue to discuss educational support for the community as well as a speaker to speak at the next HSA meeting in a few months, and continue working on scholarship fundraising to support our scholarship donations that we give to seniors on their way out. We'll also be announcing for the next few meetings, the administration and staff that will be present for our meetings to speak to us about some ongoings at Central. So we'll send out communication once those dates are confirmed to let you know which administration will be reporting with and discussing with us in our next meetings. But our next meeting is January 14th. And as always, you are able to donate directly to us. This is through HSA. So you're able to write off your donations, and all of the proceeds, all of the funds that we raise go directly to scholarships for our students. We're going to move into Safety Coalition. Michelle, we're ready for your presentation.
Hi everyone, I'm Michelle. Let me put my screen on. Yeah, so the updates that we have is we're looking into, I believe our students are getting trained through the school district of excuse me, of Philadelphia, about this restorative justice program. And the idea is to look into trainings for families so that we can talk to our students about just how to talk to each other and how to use some of these restorative justice principles with each other so that there's more communication, more community building and healing. And so keep your ears and eyes open to that, and probably be some training on Zoom. That's it.
Thank you, Michelle. Different ways that you're able to volunteer with the HSA. We have various committees that you're able to join. Fundraising, which is led by our chair, Robin Dominic. Campus Beautification by Terry Jack and Anne Marie Thompson. Hospitality, Maria Hallahan. Communications, Esther Roche. We are very much interested in any parents that are able to step in to help with communications. I know a lot of parents are always seeking more information and communication, and a lot of it is published and accessible, but I understand as a whole, it's hard for us to get to the information when we need it, but it would be really valuable for our entire Central community if we can have some assistance with communicating. And also for technology, we appreciate the help of Tony, who helps us in many, many ways. And if anybody also in that area as well has any expertise, we are more than happy. We know that the Dominics have been supportive of us, but are also moving on. So we will miss them. So if there's anybody interested in becoming more involved and able to assist in the future and following years, please join us now so that we can pass the baton. Look, that's perfect, Miriam. I know your email is in the listserv where we will be contacting you immediately. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes. Next, we're going to have we're going to hear from our class representatives, 283, 284, 285, and 286 if you're present. We'll start with 283, our senior class. Jamie, I see that you're on.
Hi. Okay. So we have students can be excused for college visits. They need to see Mr. Horowitz in room 207 to get a visitation form. It has to be signed by teachers and parents. And the school prefers that you give 2 weeks notice and have some documentation from the college to confirm that it's really happening. Powder Puff girls football game took place in November, and 2A3 won. And so they won 2 years in a row, which is a highly unusual, if not unprecedented event. In the past, I think the seniors usually won. So last year's win was pretty special, and winning again this year was great. And that was a lot of fun. Central's Got Talent, 2 faculty talent show, and 2A3 members are going to host and judge. We don't have any more information about that, but sounds exciting. Young Alumni Speaker Series on January 4th. We're going to hear from a panel, our students are going to hear from a panel of recent alums about the college application process and careers. The ski trip is tentatively scheduled for February 16th. but await more official confirmation. But if you are interested in chaperoning the ski trip, please reach out to Mr. Horwitz, because that sometimes is a very large group. And as you know, they're traveling far from school and there are a lot of buses involved and many chaperones might be needed. Class dues collection, December 14th, which is tomorrow. They're collecting during homeroom, cash, a check payable to Central High School, or you can pay online. If anyone hasn't tried it yet, this new cash pay online system is really, really helpful. It's just a lot easier. You just have to know how to access it, and the link is right there. Central night at the Phillies is May 3rd, $30 if you pay by December 31st. And I also had yearbook. Is there another slide, Rita, or is it just this one?
Just one.
Okay, so the other thing that didn't make it to this slide is that Mr. Horwitz they're collecting right now for yearbook ads for senior families. And you can buy there are different size ads, and you can submit photos. So you can kind of create your own ad with some photos and text, and that is due by January 8th to Ms. Bashieras. I guess you can send to her. You can also write to lanceryearbookchs@gmail. You know what? I will stop talking and I will put some of this content in the chat. But January 8th is the deadline for that. And a lot of families participate, and it's a really nice way to celebrate our seniors. Thanks.
Thank you, Jamie. 284, Amy.
Hi.
Hi.
So our big event this month is 284 goes ice skating at City Hall. They're going to leave school at 1:20 on January 26th. And they're going to take the subway down to City Hall. And they ahead of time, you pay $20, and the $20 will get you a skate rental, the hot chocolate, and the ice time. I think that's a really good deal. And they haven't decided, they haven't started collecting money yet. So the kids need to be listening up for where and when the money collection will take place. And parent chaperones are needed for this, please. I will put it in the parent communication emails. I'll put that in there on the listserv when I get the final information of when they will be collecting money and where. Class dues, $250 is due by graduation. So if you could please pay half this year, and then you could pay the other half next year, that would be great. You could pay at any time. You can use the school cash online. You could take a check into school and give it to Ms. Zesserman, who is the class advisor. This is just a reminder, which you were already reminded about, the community service. And there's an opportunity this month on December 20th at 3:30 to 6 to give, it's a holiday toy giveaway at Logan Elementary School. So kids can log in some hours, but they have to sign up for it by December 15th. And you can see, you need to contact Mr. Ellie Prosper to do that. It sounds like a good opportunity to get some hours in. And then there's a door decorating contest for each homeroom, and the best homeroom door will win the class a free hot chocolate. And they have to have it decorated by I'm not sure when, but they win on December 22nd, Friday, December 22nd. They win the hot chocolate. So go 284. If you have any questions, my name's Amy. You can put a question in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Yes, go 284. A little bias there. Debbie, you're next for 285. Hi.
Hi, so I don't know if you can see me or hear me. I apologize. I am at volleyball. Therefore it's loud and I don't know if my camera's on or not. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So everyone knows about the community service already. We are having 285 t-shirts. They are for sale. There's an online store that is open already. The link is here. It probably should also go out on the listserv if possible. That would be great. I don't know how to do that. And all of the 285 students' names will be on the back of the apparel. There are 3 different, there's like a t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt, and a hoodie. And then the door decorating contest, which King just mentioned, is from the 8th to the 20th, and then the 20th. You would win the chocolate, and there's the flyer. And that's good. It's really fun. But thank you, everyone. And Esther, thank you. And I hope Leslie feels better.
Thank you, Debbie. We'll definitely share your well wishes. She is showing as logged in, but I hope that she is resting. And so we do not have an update from 286. So we're going to move into the Associated Alumni of Central and ask if President Davis would be so kind to step in for Cynthia.
Hey, Rita, sure. This is repeat information if folks have been on these meetings before. There is a continued campaign titled Leading the Way. The Capital campaign is referred to frequently, raising money to build an extension onto our main school building with a performing arts center. So a lot of folks, there was a large Giving Tuesday effort on the behalf of the Alumni Association, and there's a variety of other ways to give as well if people are interested in it. There's lots of information on the Central High School website about this. Next slide. Oftentimes, when we get close to holiday season, folks are always interested in ways to give Central High School gifts. So please know that we have ongoing auditorium seat dedication opportunities. And when I say we, I mean the Alumni Association, not just Central High School. They sell license plates. They have lots of cool swag, similar to some of the things sold by the home and school. So feel free to check out their website and reach out to their executive director if you have any questions. Is there another slide or is that it?
I think that's it, President
Awesome,
Davis.
thank you.
And so we just want to talk a little bit about the schedule of the next HSA meetings, which the next meeting will be January 10th. And that we'll have AP Snyder back here with us to talk about the course selection process. So we just heard them say that the application for IB will be closing, I believe, very early in February, with course selection starting the 2nd week in February. So if you want to find out a little bit more about the course selection process and hear her recommendations for how you should maneuver and the conversations you should be having with your students, please be in attendance with us on January 10th. We have the Title I meeting on February 14th. And the remaining HSA meetings you can read for yourself. Next slide, I want to bring to everyone's attention upcoming dates. Friday, we do have early dismissal for our students. So please keep that in mind. President Davis mentioned that earlier, and our winter recess begins Monday, December 25th. So that last Friday before will be their last time in class. And classes resume on January 3rd. Wednesday, January 3rd is when class resumes. I know sometimes it's a little bit of a question of when do they go back to school. It's January 3rd. And be mindful that midterms start January 16th. So right after Christmas break, they'll be taking midterms. And I don't know the percentage of their grade, but we want them to be ready and not be surprised when it comes. And on that note, thank you everyone for your attendance tonight. We wish you all well. If you have not signed in, please sign in. Attendance is the attendance for parents works for us in our reporting. So we appreciate you giving the information. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.